with me Patricia Elizabeth as one of the e-guide here. Hello, our audience who joining us here. Thank you for coming. And for you who watch these events via online platform. And if you're new here, at America is the US Embassy's American Center. And our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to learn more about the United States. Do you know, international education is more than just a line on your resume. It can change your worldview and enriches your knowledge to other cultures. Learn in at America with our amazing events this evening called The Experience of a Lifetime Studying in Another Country. But before we jump into our session, I have trivia for you who watch this event via online platform. And the question is, which of the following programs from the United States government can help you gain the experience of studying abroad? Is it A, YSEALI, B, Fulbright Foreign Student Program, C, Kennedy Lugar Youth Exchange and Study, D, all of the above? If you already know, type your answer right now. And if you can guess correctly, you can get a live shout out from us in the end of this session. Now, I pass the floor to our moderator. She is advisor in Education USA at America. Give a big applause to Santika Salim.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming in here. Of course, your effort is really much appreciated. And thank you so much, Patricia, or Trisha, we call her, for giving such a warm welcome to all of you, including the online audience who are watching us from the Zoom, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter or Instagram live even. So if you have questions later down the talk show and anything like that, you can send your questions in the comment box if you're watching us from other platform other than the Zoom. So if you're in Zoom, you know you can use the chat box for that features of the questions and answers. And I will be able to see your questions from my iPad here because our social media team will be passing the questions. Okay? So nobody is going to be left behind. And we have a very fun activities as well. After the talk show, there will be Q&A, and there will be a breakout room for those of you who are in Zoom, and you can ask questions directly to the student who have real experience of going to study abroad or exchange program, you name it, you can ask them yourself, okay? So the experience of a lifetime studying in another country. I know this is at America, and then we want to, focus on studying in America, right? But our speakers today are very exceptional, and they have much more experience than that. So we don't want to just limit it to that, but we want to focus on studying in the States, okay? All right, so without further ado, I will introduce you to our speakers, and I'm expecting a huge round of applause after this, okay? So the first speaker is Ibu Dorita Setiawan. She is a sociology lecturer in Sampurna University. She also had the experience of teaching in Columbia University in New York. So if you are so curious about her experience, I will ask her later. And you can ask questions. Okay. Second speaker is Ibu Ari, we call her, or Ibu Ni Wayan Ariati. She is the academic director of SIT Study Abroad in Indonesia. And last but not least, Dr. Lauren Clark. She's a senior manager here in Ad America, but she also has various experience as the admission in US universities, right? So please give them a round of applause. Thank you, everybody. And to, as an icebreaker, I have an activity for all of you, and I have to do a quick head count, and I'm expecting at least 50% to join us, okay? So less than 50, we will not proceed with the questions, and you will be just stuck there, okay? So let's go for the Mentimeter. All right, are you ready? Just scan this QR code with your phone. Phones out. This is not your classroom, so you can use your phone. I'm expecting 50 in that heart on the right side there. If it doesn't reach 50, we will not proceed to the question. There you go. And if you're joining online, you can, of course, still use this QR code with your phone, right? It's on your screen, of course. 17, 18. This feels like auction, like going once, going twice. 30, yay. All right, trying to hit 40. If you haven't joined, you don't want to miss this out. That's going to be helpful for you and for us to know your interests and what are you looking for in general. All right, 8 more. Ooh, 6 more. Come on, people. We are wasting a precious time here, you know? All right, 4 more. 3, 2, 1 more. 1 more. Who's gonna join? Who's the last lucky person that gets everyone started? Online audience? Nobody? Yay! Okay, 50. We reach, ooh, 51. All right, thank you for your enthusiasm. And let's go to the next question. Ooh, 52. Yay. First question, please. All right, here you go. If you could study in another country, which one would you choose? And this is a, you can put different country other than America. I know you want to, make everybody happy here, but you can choose. Ooh. Right. So other than United States, oh, South Korea, nice. Japan, America, which is equal to United States, Australia, Germany, Singapore, Italia, India, England, New York. New York is in the States. So thanks. Um, so it's really funny because Ibu Ari is from Bali, right? So when I was in the States, a lot of them think Bali is a country, not Indonesia. So I could think of the same way of New York, and Ohio there. So great. Okay, we got 47, 48, 50, and we stopped at 52 just now. So I'm expecting the last 2% to answer as well. I see you. Who is not answering? One more. All right. You know what? Oh, there you go. Yay. Perfect attendance here if you were talking about the classroom, right? All right. Move to the second question. Oh, Madagascar. Interesting. What are you going to study there? Can you tell us later? It's really interesting. Second question, what is the main benefit of studying in that country that you answered just now? So you can put anything that you think will help you or what you're looking for, the benefit, right? Like what do you think of the plus of choosing that country? Or something specific, like Madagascar probably have a very good wildlife, nature conservation thing. Ooh, relations, skills and knowledge, new connections, food. Okay, very motivating. Culture, history, community, finance. Ooh, knowledge, community, environment, new home. Interesting. Friends, anime. I think you are referring to Japan, right? What else? Technology. That's nice. Um, Flex. Wow. Okay. I probably get it, but I will probably have to explain to our speakers. Flex is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's something that you flex to other people like, hey, I went to Madagascar to study this thing, or I went to New York for an exchange program. It's like the bragging part or CV or resume part, right? Okay. Third question. Let's go. Oh, we got 53. Nice. Actually, more than the initial participants that we nailed for. Name one culture difference that you may encounter in studying abroad there. So, if you know a bit about the country, okay, that's a good motivating thing here. Individualism, way of thinking. I like that. It's a point of view, mindset, right? Habits, habit, living. What else? Language, customs. Yep, yep. Okay, somebody gotta explain kaise to me because I'm really not into the language. So POV, point of view, okay. Principles, habit, ideology. Ooh, TikTok feed, interesting. New ethics. All right, more to come. Thinking. I think we have a very dance. Yeah, different dance, right? Uh, customs, religion, way of life. Yeah, yeah. I think we all agree on the food and language because it's so big there. Like a lot of you guys type in there, and also the way of thinking, aka mindset and ideology. Transportation is interesting. Way of life, political views, principles. Great. So let's move to the next question, probably the last one, if I'm not mistaken. Would you choose to study abroad for one term, 1 year, or for your whole degree? So if you're familiar with exchange program, usually they are not formal degree, but you will probably receive or at least get a certification. Whole degree, huge there. One term, 1 year. Somebody answered a very out of the question thing. Okay. Permanently, nice. Live there. Oh, somebody is into Singlish. I don't know that. Whole degree lah. Okay, gotcha. One term. Cool. Anybody is called Jeremy here? Can you raise your hand? All right. We got 46% answering here. So I think whole degree is the top answers, right? All right. So next question, and if not, if it's the last question, let's close this Mentimeter. There you go. Thank you so much for your participation, and I hope you had a very fun ice-breaking thing with the Mentimeter just now. So without further ado, let's go to the panel discussion with our speakers today. Hi, Ibu Dorita, Ibu Ari, and Dr. Lauren. I would like to invite you all to share your experience. Of course, all of you have a very unique experience in different US universities, in different time and everything. And I'm sure that it could be very valuable to a lot of the students and also our audience online to learn about that and to encourage them to study abroad, regardless if it's exchange program or full degree. Okay, so I'll start with Ibu Dorita. And Ibu Dorita is probably more comfortable in speaking in English because she is so heavy on that experience of teaching and everything. But yeah, please help us introduce yourself, Ibu Dorita, and tell us about your experience.
Okay. That one question would do you want me to
Yeah.
spend like an hour or anyway, kidding. So, you know my name, and then my background is really I'm doing more of research, teaching, and
Mm-hmm.
then the experience when it related to the topic here is that maybe I got two scholarship for my master degree and my
Right.
PhD degree. One in Canada at
Mm-hmm.
McGill, Montreal, and second in Columbia University in New York. And I could see from the Mentimeter that we did today that one person really wanted to go to New York, so we can talk
Right.
after.
Of course.
So the background, I think you should ask me more questions because
I would.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think like the background, let the audience ask me later, but um there's more.
Yes, of
There's more
course.
to unpack.
So I see that in your profile you had an experience as a Fulbright scholar, and that's quite recent, like 2015, in the very last year that I've seen here. and that's like an exchange program,
Yeah.
right, Budorita?
Yeah.
Right. And did you had anything specific when you were thinking about applying to that exchange program, or what did encourage you to apply for that program?
So for the Fulbright program, I remember that I got to the point that I had to go outside Indonesia to study of whatever I'm doing then. So the reason why Fulbright back then is uh, the scholarship provides me with full scholarship.
Mhm.
There's a tuition and everything. Um, and I think I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
That's okay. So you got the full scholarship, and
Yeah.
then it actually encouraged you to study what you want, right? But I remember when we were in the informal meeting in
Yeah.
the Zoom, Budorita, you mentioned
All
that
right.
the
Right.
first
Right.
time you went Columbia
All
University,
right.
you're just so,
Yeah.
baffled. Like how many Indonesian student doesn't know this
Oh, right.
opportunity,
Right.
right?
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
That. So, I think I found out about that fact that
Mhm.
not many Indonesian apply for Columbia. Is when I was working at the student center.
Right.
Uh, so like I remember when I first got to Columbia, there were only like three students, myself included, and then I wonder where the other Indonesian students are. They not didn't they make it here, or like what's going on? So, but I didn't really ask that question until I was shown the fact that there are not many
Yeah.
applicants.
Yeah.
So the like it's logical when there's not many applicants,
Of course.
no one's
Yeah.
really around, no one's really accepted. So I really encourage you here just to apply. If you aim anywhere, don't be discouraged just because it's Ivy League. Don't be discouraged that it's, I don't know, because there's so many stigma around the school. Not stigma, but there's so many ideas about schools or university in America or anywhere else in the world that would tell you one thing, but when you find out about it yourself, it's not really the case. So you have to find out about it.
Yeah.
So, but I think more and more, the last time I left, so I started my program at Columbia 2008. I finished my program in 2015, and I stayed longer because I didn't really want to stay there just to study. I really want to experience job, and I saw from the Mentimeter result that you it's some of you mentioned that not only whole degree, but you really want to stay permanently. I don't think that's possible, but you can stay longer actually. They will give you sometimes to actually uh for you to apply for like a specific job uh until like there's a limit obviously, but like you can actually do that
Mm-hmm.
after you graduate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's actually very new to me as an education US advisor, because I know that if you get a formal degree, S1, S2, atau S3, meaning bachelor, master, or PhD degree, you will be entitled as an international student visa holder. You'll be entitled to at least get a chance to apply for the OPT, optional practical training, after you earn any of that degree, and try to get a full-time job and have a working experience there
Yeah.
before you actually decide to come back to Indonesia, or whether that you can find something permanent for yourself there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
Just
also
just to
applies.
add that OPT is for uh master's degree,
Right.
and for me it's 80 and it's longer.
Yes.
So it doesn't really make any difference, but I think um the longer you stay there, they're gonna have a formula that you can actually stay longer.
Mm-hmm. So
So yeah,
yeah,
that.
it applies to AA degree as well. So technically, any degree that you are taking or undertaking in the States, AA degree is D3 setaranya di Indonesia. So that means if you're attending community college and get your AA degree first before you decide to transfer to the third and the fourth year in any U.S. university, yes, your AA degree counts to the OPT, optional practical training qualifications. So for definitely, if you want to try to get the working experience in the middle of your, before transferring, you can do that. And we can discuss further if you are interested or you wonder how to do that and everything. But yeah, that's one of the options that we can talk about, right? And Budorita, I remember you also told me that you were really happy before. So it was like 7 years, right? In Colombia, 10.
Total
to-
with
Oh,
the
the
stay.
total. Oh, okay. So 10 years in New York. And you told me you were really happy before you leave. There's an improvement in the number of Indonesian students there, right? So was it 30 or?
Yeah, I think now it's even more with
Mm-hmm.
LPDP's
Oh, yeah.
scholarship.
Yeah.
They expand the study programs that students can apply.
Yeah.
For Fulbright, there's like limited there's
Yes.
a limited study program that you can
Of
apply.
course.
But yeah, I think there are more and more
Mm-hmm.
students. I'm like happily surprised to know
Yeah.
NYU students are coming from Indonesia as well. And
Yeah.
one thing I really want to add about, like, it sticks to my mind when someone said that they want to stay there permanently. You can,
Okay.
but there's a but what you need to do is that, for example, the reason why I have to return, like I'm now happy here, but because there's a contract with Fulbright that I have to stay in my country for 3 years until I can return to New York, for example, and then whatever work that you have in the state, they have nothing to do with uh, whether they don't have any connection with the visa. So in my case, my job is still actually still available. They don't know, oh, you cannot stay longer here. So if you have an agreement like, yeah, I'm gonna come back until I finish whatever, you can. So building trust and building your network while you're there is really important.
Yes. Thank you so much, Budorita, for sharing that. And yes, everyone, it's like regardless of your goal, when you are, trying to get the study abroad experience, you have to do your best regardless of whatever program that you sign up for and everything. And I've met a student who actually also go to Colombia for exchange program or summer program, and she was studying in the local university here in Indonesia, so that's doable. If you're questioning, right? Like, but I'm still in my university year, I'm still in high school, or I'm still in whatever program that you have right now, and you are wondering if you could do an exchange program or any summer school in the States, the answer is yes. Okay? All right, so let's move to Ibu Ari. Hi, Ibu Ari. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Bu, for flying from Bali to
Where?
Jakarta.
From Makassar,
From
Oh, from
actually.
Makassar.
Makassar. Okay, but you're originally in from Bali,
From Bali.
and
Yeah.
the program that you run for from SIT is based in Bali, right?
That's right. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. Okay, so who wouldn't want to have that program, Bu? It's in Bali. Like I would sign up for
Yeah.
Okay.
it.
Please do.
Yeah. So yeah, Ibu Ari, I know here that it's been years that you have been working with Ibu Lauren for this program, an exchange program, right? Could you tell us a bit more about the SIT program?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. So as Ibu Santika said, so I'm Ibu Ari. My full name is Niwayan Ariati. Actually, I'm the academic director for SIT Study Abroad Indonesia under the theme of art, religion, and social change that based in Bali. So all our students are from United States, but from different universities and also majoring different major depending on their interest. Yeah, and they come to Bali for twice a year, spring semester and fall semester. And this time is fall semester, start in September and until December 19, actually. So only 104 days. So while they are in Indonesia, they study Bahasa Indonesia for 6 credits and thematic seminar, 3 credits, and field method and ethics, 3 credits, and the last one is independent study project. independent study project is depending on the student's interest and also depending on their major. For the independent study project, they have to be in the field. Yeah, so I stand for independence. That means they will be in the field by themselves. So we are not going to join our students in the field, and they have to collect some primary data, okay, for 3 weeks by interviewing people, maybe do some research, maybe do some survey in the field. And then after 3 weeks, they have to go back to Bali, and then maybe they write a paper about maybe 30 to 40 pages, yeah, about their finding. And then after that, they have to present. They have to present their paper orally, and then just to find out how much actually they learn in the field. And also, it's really good practice for the public speaking, yeah. And then after finishing in our program in Bali, they go back to their own country. Maybe they can use their paper from the independent study project for applying for Fulbright to come back to Indonesia to continue their project. Or they can use their thesis for the higher education in their institution. Yeah, and yeah, so right now, actually, we have only 12 students, yeah, from different universities in United States. And then actually we have one student inside right now, Lauren. Hi, Lauren. Yeah, yeah, she is from Harvard University. You guys want to know about Harvard? Yeah, so I'm
Course.
sure that Lauren we can answer all your questions later on.
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, talking about going abroad, actually I got full scholarship going to Australia. I saw the not centimeter, Mentimeters just now. One of you or several of you are interested in going to Australia. Actually, you can get full scholarship to get your master degree or a doctorate degree in Australia. You can be there fully in Australia, or you can do your research. And my degree is mostly by research. So I applied in Darwin, Australia. They give me like a full scholarship to do
Mhm.
my master and also my doctorate degree in both in Indonesia and India. Yeah,
Yep.
and also I got Fulbright.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
we got
yes, yeah.
two Fulbrighters in the house right now, and that's really rare. If you go to aminef.or.id and then you search for their awardees or grantees, they call them people who got the Fulbright scholarship. They don't have a lot in each year. They probably have top maximum of like what 50 Indonesians per year, and if we have like two in the house right now, that's really really a very rare opportunity. So yes, thank you, everyone, buat udah help us to get this word out that it's actually really really possible for you to actually get a Fulbright scholarship. And they have a few types of Fulbright scholarship, and I'm going to share it with you later after the talk show, after the Q&A with everyone here. I'm going to share with you what I know in terms of the scholarship and exchange program that's available for you to explore. Okay. So thank you so much, Ibu Ari, for sharing that very interesting program. And
You're
I think
welcome.
12 students from America is not it's not little. It's a lot actually.
Actually, we used to have like 20 students, but
Right.
after the pandemic, it's a
Yeah.
bit hard to find some
Of
enrollment.
course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we are just, like I think this is a transition part where we are still adapting to the new normal and everything. So having 12, I think it's really
Yeah.
great. And especially that we can chat more with Lauren in our audience feed right now, that she's flying out from America, from the States, to be in Indonesia for certain period of time to learn about our customs and everything. So if you haven't realized, exchange program is going on in a lot of different places. So not only Indonesian students who wants to go to the States or any other countries, but it's vice versa. So there are so many other exchange programs that out there that you probably haven't know. So if you are interested towards certain program, you probably need to do your research and find out more about it. Okay. All right. So, Ibu Ari, is there anything you want to share for Indonesian students who have interest to study abroad or doing exchange program? How do you probably suggest them on the things that they can try to look for?
Okay, thank you. That's really good question. So, if you guys are interested going abroad to study in, in another country outside our country, and as Ibu Dorita said, you can apply for Fulbright, but to get Fulbright is very competitive. You have to write proposal, which is very interesting proposal, which is good for our country and also good for the American community. And also you have to test, you have to pass the TOEFL. Yeah, like for me at that time, so like only just 600 is not really good. My English is not very good. Yeah. So yeah, you need to work so hard for getting Fulbright. But other than Fulbright, there are also other some grant that you can apply. Actually, you can apply for some grant to go to Canada, for example, or to Australia. Yeah. So I
Right.
think that Fulbright is the most difficult to get. Yeah. But when you get it, so everything will be just great. So as Ibu
Wow.
Dorita said, yeah. So they provide everything for you guys, for us. Yeah. And then including our family also. Yeah. And just need to work hard. That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
be disciplined.
Yes.
Yeah. And then try to think about what is very interesting to pursue in the country.
Right.
What is good for you? What is good for the country? And then right now the trend is CGI, critical global issue. Actually, is very important.
Wow.
And then we actually try to promote the inclusion and sustainability development. Yeah, that's very important. Hey, humanitarian as well, because we need to respect each other. We need to live harmoniously with each other. Because and you see the phenomena right now, there's a lot of conflict among the humanity. Yeah, that's
Thank you
it.
so much, Bu Ari.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
that's
okay.
really eye-opening because then if you're looking for something that's very useful these days, then you probably need to search on those kind of topic that Bu Ari was mentioning, global engagement, global impact, and everything like that. That's going to, going to really look good in your CV or resume if you're applying to U.S. universities or even other universities abroad. That's going to help you. So exchange program is not just, you know, I would like to think exchange program is like the perfect balance of having fun and like getting to know the country, getting to know the city, getting to know the university, and also studying a little bit. It's not like that serious, but it's you get a lot of things out of that. So I want you to make the best of of that experience and not to forget that this is kind of like a stepping stone for you. So a lot of scholarship really looks up to exchange programs. Like if you have international exposure, multicultural exposure, or experience in living in other countries, or even volunteer experience in certain remote areas in Indonesia, that will really boost your profile in their eyes, regardless of which um, scholarship that you're applying to. That I can say, right? And um, thank you so much, Bu Ari, for the insights. And let's
You're
move
welcome.
to Ibu Lauren. Hi, Ibu Lauren.
Hi, Santika.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Nice to see you in the stage. I usually see her in the office. So it's a good change. Lauren, I see that we have a lot of experience here in your profile that you were in University of Massachusetts, you were in Vermont for the International Honors Program with SIT with Ibu Ari here, and also Amherst College for the Global Engagement and International Student, and also you are currently in Sampurna University. So could you please tell us more about your insights coming from so many different U.S. universities and currently an Indonesian university that has a very good platform to go to U.S. university.
Sure, thank you. Well, first of all, I would like to say that I'm here to balance out my colleagues because I now I'm on my ultimate study abroad, living and working in Jakarta. So it's wonderful. But most of my career has been on university campuses, working with international students. And I want to dispel some myths and later answer some questions. But I want to say, first of all, that universities in the US really want you, okay? During the pandemic, the numbers of international students in the US fell by almost 50%, just under 50%. So, the campuses, well, most campuses had to close down, of course, but of course, people did not want to travel internationally and live abroad and be far from their families when the pandemic was raging. So now, in the past year, since 2021, it's gone up 80%. Okay. So think about that. The schools are anxious to get international students back on their campuses. They are providing incentives for that, meaning some funding, and we'll talk a little bit about that hopefully later. But I talk to a lot of students here, and many are intimidated. Dorita mentioned this before. There are lots of myths that, oh, it's so competitive. Oh, I can't get in. Oh, I don't have a perfect 4.0 grade point average. If you're interesting and you're passionate and do your homework, you have to literally and figuratively, you have to want to go someplace and research the options and put your best foot forward, which our Education USA advisors can help with. Nod to Santika. Um,
Yep.
Students,
Here.
schools are really anxious to have you. We're contacted here at America all the time by U.S. universities that want to present and recruit students at Indonesia. And Indonesia, even though you have a very large population and lots of very smart and interesting people, has one of the lowest rates of study abroad in the U.S. I can't speak for Australia and the others, but and we need to fix that. Okay, um, in the top 25 countries of origin of international students going to the U.S., Indonesia is not in the top 25. So, even though it's improving in some schools, in
Yep.
Columbia University and others, that are in the top receiving schools and supporting schools. Anyway, we have to fix that. So please dispel the myth that it's too hard and it's not worth trying. They really want you and they're looking for you. Um, Secondly, I wanted to point out that universities change the perspective a little bit. Don't think of it as an applying student. Think about it as a university that wants the most interesting, smartest students in the world there. Um, they are judged on how international their campuses are. So when you're working at a university, when you're a professor or a dean or a vice rector or whatever, the accrediting bodies and funding bodies will come into you and say, are you trying to be international? Because that's very important these days. That's what's going to equip students to be the strongest and the best as they go forward in their careers. And so universities scramble to try to hire more international faculty, to try to offer more international courses that have worldviews, and of course, to get more international students. So why? Why not just get all American students and you don't have to travel to find them? You just put out your, recruitment ads. It's because you enrich the campus. Okay. When you go to a US campus or another campus in another country, for those of you that want to study anime and so forth, the students who are there, the domestic students there, learn from you. Okay. When I went to college a million years ago, I lived in the international dorm, and they're still my best friends, and they're all over the world. And it changed how I thought about everything. It changed how I viewed my future. And I was just a domestic American student going to an American college. Okay. But because they were international, they opened my mind up. So don't underestimate that. Um, I would also say when I talked about incentives before, I think there is a perception, and it's not it's not untrue that only wealthy students can travel abroad. That's for the wealthy. That's not for, students who, aren't jet setters, right? Or their parents have international jobs. And that is still, family funds are still a major source of funding, but according to the reports that have just come out, about 20% of international students are supported by their university in the US. So don't underestimate that. Tons of scholarships that we'll hear about a little bit later. There's Fulbright, of course, but if you're an undergraduate, the schools will offer you funding if you are talented and they want you. In fact, I won't mention names, but the last university I worked for uh, had 80% of its international students on almost full scholarships. Okay. The other thing I would say is dispel the myth that public universities are always cheaper than private universities. Okay. Here in Indonesia, public universities are well funded by the government, right? We don't have that in the US. They get money from the government, certainly. But if you think about a public university, all the big research universities, University of California, University of Idaho, University of Virginia, that's private, I'm sorry. What else? Penn State University. Yeah. Those universities have a mandate to support the students from their state universities, right? So they may have different criteria for international students, but private universities, like Columbia, for example, like Harvard, um, they often have funds that public universities do not have, and those funds can come to you as a scholarship. So don't assume that because you look at the price tag, you go to their website and you see that it's really expensive and it's 2 or 3 times what a public university is. Don't assume you can't apply. There's no harm in applying. They might have 2 or 3 times the funds to help you.
Right.
So just, okay, long answer. Sorry.
Yeah. No, no, no worries. Thank you so much for sharing, Ibu Lauren. And I want to add to that what Ibu Lauren have said. Yes, if you don't apply, then how would you get accepted, right? Like they don't know you. So if you don't put yourself up front, like by applying, giving your best application, they don't know you. They don't know how to accept you at that point. And also, yes, scholarships are available, but you have to look for them because all scholarships are very, very competitive, right? Of course, they are limited in funding, no matter how, how much well funded that school or that private school is. There's a limit to their funding. So if you don't go out there and then compete, give your best, you don't even have a chance to get that scholarship. And I could tell from my perspective as an advisor of almost 4 years in Education USA here that a lot of my advisees got scholarships, whether that's partial, whether that's full from LPDP or Fulbright. And if it's exchange program, the one that I will be sharing later are going to be free, meaning you don't have to pay anything, aka scholarship, right? And it's exchange program. And we also have students that will be able to tell you more about that in the breakout room in Zoom. So if you're watching us from the Zoom, don't worry, we won't leave you behind for the in-person here. And also that for undergraduate, there are less scholarship, unfortunately, but you can still get a lot of partial scholarships. So there's still hope. And I can attest from the point of view of the advisee that is already studying in the States, she applied to so many universities that it's actually beyond my expectation. I always suggest to apply to at least 6 schools in a very strategic way, like two dream schools, 2 target schools, 2 safety schools. And what she did was applying to 12 schools, right? Overkill, I know. And then she got accepted to most of them. No surprise because she's good at presenting herself and applying to the schools that she know have partial scholarships, right? She got accepted to most of them, and now it's the best part, right? She just need to choose which school I want, right? Which one is going to give me more funding, more scholarship, and which program that I love the most out of this top 5, top 3, and she made her decision and she's happier than ever, right? But if you don't work hard in the very beginning, like what Bu Dorita said and Bu Hari and Bu Lauren said, like you don't apply, you don't work hard for it will not just like, somebody just came to you like, hey, do you want to go to the States or you want to go to this country to study? It's not going to happen because you're not applying, you're not putting yourself out there. So the first step is to try. Okay. I'll
Can
say
I
that.
can I add
Of
something?
course.
So I have to make a confession here. One of the audience approached me before the session. Like, I really want to go to the US, um, but I don't really have time to actually put the process. And I said, maybe my advice is not really that common. Is that first, obviously, you have to put time. There's no way around it. I know you're doing a bazillion things uh, in your life, but you have to make time. But things that I advise her is that really you have to. Maybe this sounds annoying for some professor to get emails from students, but that's exactly what I did. I remember I sent over 100 emails to professors, and I got 5 responses. And then I did exactly like the person that you mentioned, that I applied to, I don't know, like 20 schools, and then Fulbright have another list of schools, and then no, I just want to apply. Columbia is not one of the list that one of the university that Fulbright suggested me to go, and then I ended up having 8 LOA.
There you go.
So it's not like, if you're that interesting, people will like
Yeah,
really
of
take
course.
a note, and then you just have to try.
Yes. And at that time, Bu Dorita, you did not know Education USA, right? So
Thank
that's
God,
that's
thank God.
cue to the advertising.
Yeah, yes,
With Education
yes,
USA,
yes,
you
yes.
don't really have to go as hard as
Yeah,
Ibu Dorita
yeah,
because of course Education USA probably did not really came to the surface back when Ibu Dorita was
yeah, yeah.
trying to apply to the states, right? But with Education USA, if you are interested, you can just go
To
to
help to strategize,
yes,
yeah.
go to educationusa.state.gov and you can find out everything's free of charge. Um, that we can talk about these things, right? Budorita,
Right.
like, okay, I want to apply to a program and I'm interested in B, C, D, E university. How do I proceed? And that's where I will come in and I will tell you, okay, first step, you're gonna get all of the requirements pulled down, right? Write them down, see the differences. When is your earliest deadline? Do you need scholarship? Yada, 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 right? It's going to be a long process, but you're not going to be alone.
Right,
So
right.
that's
Yeah,
probably the hard part, right,
yeah.
Budorita?
Right,
Also,
right, right,
can I
right.
jump in too
Yes.
on
Yeah.
that theme? One of the things to remember is there are many avenues to go abroad.
Yeah.
There's short-term programs, there's summer programs, there are short exchanges from the U.S. government for Indonesian students. There's semester programs, there's year-long programs, and there's another model which you'll hear from one of the alums that's going to be talking in the breakout rooms, is that, or actually in our audience, um, that you can get U.S. credits at some institutions in your own country and then transfer them to the U.S. So you can be a transfer student. And if you have taken credits that are recognized in the U.S., um, that you can minimize your time there, I mean, in tuition payments, but also you're more likely to be admitted as a
Yeah.
transfer student than as a first time
Yeah.
4 year bachelor student. Just something to think about. And the last note, because I know we want to get to the student
Yes.
exchange,
Yes.
is be very careful. We keep saying do your homework. And
Yeah.
it's really a drag to have to look up lots and lots of universities, but there are very good guides. Okay, US News and World Report, Forbes, others. Do not go by rankings that require schools to pay them to rank them higher. Okay, and those are many out here. And I hear a lot of parents and a lot of students talking about different rankings of universities, but they've paid for those endorsements. And the other thing I'll say, and this won't be popular, but it's much easier to go to an agent to do that work for you. But remember that the agent is paid by universities to increase their application numbers. They are not looking for where do you belong, what is the perfect fit for you. Okay? When a university has high application numbers and low acceptance numbers, they look more competitive. Okay? So the agents are there to rack up the other numbers, not to necessarily place you. Advisors that do not charge, that know their stuff, are actually more likely to listen to you and think, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to study? What environment do you want? And the last thing, if I could just throw something in, Santika, getting in is one step, getting funding is another step. But once you're there, there's a huge adjustment too that you have to make. And really good universities devote a lot of time and staff energy to making sure you're taken care of and you're well when you're there because it's scary. I mean, going to another country, you may have family or friends there, but you have to adjust and you have to shift your mind and act differently in classes and with your professors and sometimes figure out strange American friends and and always perfecting your English and so forth, or wherever you end up. Um, so a really good school will devote an entire team of people, peer mentors, international office, not just to help you with your visa and where to buy, groceries or bedding. They will really help you adjust emotionally, psychologically, because it's huge. Even, as a professional person living in another country, there's an adjustment and you have to open your mind up and go with it. So, anyway, make sure that wherever you do apply that they're going to respect you and take care of you and put you in a community. um, as Dorita said, when she got there, she had a very tiny Indonesian community and then it grew. But and it may not just be Indonesian students, you may just have a group of students from Southeast Asia or wherever, or people in your major, but find a community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibu Lauren, for adding to the whole thing. Please give our speakers rounds of applause. I see you want to give them a clap. So yes, yeah, I would really support all of this, exchange program, and even if it's just 1 semester or 1 year, not a full degree, but it will enrich your perspective and it will actually give you a deeper understanding on what study abroad feels like, looks like, and what you can get from it. And if you want more, of course, you can apply for the full degree, right? So it's a good baby step if you're like afraid of, oh, I don't want to spend 4 years in that country that I never been to. I don't know if I can speak the language. For example, if you don't feel that you are good at English or any other language that we, see in the Mentimeter, um, you can might as well go for the short term, which is the exchange program, or even try to travel first and then see the opportunity that you're looking for. Okay, so anything that you actually want is actually out there, so you just need to work for it. And I really am thankful for Bu Dorita, Bu Lauren, and Bu Ari to share that there's this opportunity. Okay.
Thank you for having.
Yeah. And we will open a Q&A. So anybody have a question here in the in-person audience? We have a few already in the online. Oh, we have a lot. Nice. We will start with yes, with you. Could you please stand up and introduce yourself and let us know your question? You can use Bahasa Indonesia or English. I'll be able to kind of translate for Bularan if she needs it. So yes, what's your name?
Hello, my name is Vivi. I'm a professional worker actually. So uh, I want to pursue my master degree in US, but actually sometimes I want to try to find a job also in US. So uh, I want to know, is there any possibility if I apply for a job in US, and then during my working in US I apply for scholarship from university or any scholarship. Do I need to change my visa later, or is there any possibility to do work and school
Okay,
in one time? Thank you.
got it. Thank you so much, Fifi, for your question. I will be sharing from the Education USA's perspective first before I jump to Bu Dorita and Lauren and Bu Ari. So for master degree, you can try. So if you say you want to work on campus, for international student in the States, you can work as an international student on campus up to 20 hours per week. That's the visa regulation. So you cannot exceed that. You cannot work outside of the campus as well. Now, if you get LPDP or Fulbright, they will probably have a very strict regulation on whether or not you can work or you cannot work because you have received funding from them, right? You need permission from them to, uh, to do a certain job on the campus. But yes, if you don't want to be restricted by those requirements from the scholarship or the funding that you receive, you can look for teaching or research assistantship in terms of the funding options or availability. That is actually in exchange of you doing research or teaching or just an assistant, just like graduate assistant, in exchange of your tuition fee and the stipend, and it really varies from one program to another program in different universities in the States. They could go from 30, 50, 70, 80 to 100% tuition fee waiver. Okay. So I hope that helps. And let's go to Budorita, Lauren, or Bu Ari if you have any more input or from your experience, Budorita.
Sure. I think I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned
Yeah.
like early in on our discussion that someone wanted to stay permanently, but like I'm not encouraging that, but there's a possibility in doing that. Because the job offer that you have, of course, it requires different visa because student visa and working visa is totally different. Um, but you have to have like a job, good job, and then you have a have sponsor, and there's like a whole regulation around that. But that's possible for sure. Because like in my case, my I was gonna be extended, and they didn't know that I don't have the visa to do so. So it really depends on your scholarship. For Fulbright, you have certain uh, time limit. Uh, but I know for LPDP, they don't require you to go home right after, or like there's totally different arrangement.
Yeah.
So you really have to look for that.
Yeah.
Can I just clarify one thing? Sorry, I was a visa officer at a couple of campuses, and it's not that's true, but to go there to work is very difficult
Mm-hmm.
unless you have a
Yeah.
extreme expertise in something and or a unique genius quality, which you may. But it's really hard right now, and it's very backed up. Go as a student if you're going for a master's program, and then you'll have a time to work after that. Work on campus, and then look look outside.
Yeah.
But most of the scholarships that are from the government, U.S. government or the Indonesian government, there's strings attached. You have to
Yeah,
go home.
true.
So
Yeah,
don't, you can always go back after you
exactly.
satisfy that. But one thing at a time. I wouldn't try to get a job first and then go to school. Go to school first.
Yeah,
Yeah. Vice versa, right?
yeah.
So, yeah, like I said, if you don't want the strings attached, then you can look for that opportunity, and Education US is here for you. But then again, if you're looking at LPDP or Fulbright, unfortunately, they will give you J1 visa instead of F1 visa, which will not allow you to have OPT that I mentioned, the
Yeah.
opportunity, unless it's special case. But then you will have to negotiate, talk, discuss with them until they allow you to do that, and they have to have certain set of requirements met in that sense, right? It's really case by case. But commonly, mostly, and think of it as it's not available if you are going as a Fulbrighter or LPDP awardee. Okay. All right. Next question. I think we got more here, and then I will move to the next side. Boleh, Masnya dulu?
Cik. My name is Igede Susastra Gunawan. You can call me Bli Sastra or Sastra ya. Currently I'm pursuing my bachelor degree in Sampurna University thanks to Sampurna University that give me full scholarship. Next, maybe I have question
Okay.
for Bu Ari ya.
Ya, Bu Ari.
Yeah, since I'm struggling with final year project, we have final year project and now I'm interested with research program. And previously, Bu Ari mentioned about uh, getting master degree with research program. Um, yeah, previously Bu Ari say we can prepare the proposal or TOEFL test. Is there any other tips and trick or uh, it's which one is better? Doing more project or getting most valuable project? For example, I'm interested with data science project like computer vision, augmented reality like that. Or if uh, I have to make most good research or getting more research, I think is which
Okay.
one is better? Maybe you
Got
can add tips and tricks.
Get it.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
Satria. So, Bu Ari.
Sastra.
Oh, Sastra.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you, Mas Sastra. Bu Ari. So the question is, what are the tips to get a scholarship for the research opportunity as a master student?
Okay, yeah.
How did you start back then? Did you
Okay.
also email professors?
Actually, yeah, I'm a older generation from Budirita, I think. Yeah, I did a lot of communication. At that time there is no email, so I sent a lot of letters and a lot of yeah, I know a lot a lot of faxes, to the universities in the state, and then actually I
Wow.
got a lot of answers actually in
Right.
Cornell University. It was
Right.
like Wisconsin, all those things.
Yeah.
So they want me to be their
Right.
students and also teach there.
Right.
Yeah, so as Ibu Lauren said, you have to study first and
Yes.
then get additional work.
Mhm.
But for
Mhm.
me, because I did my research in the field, so my research is about social science actually. It's not a kind of computer science. It's not like that. I'm not familiar with the computer, so I'm older generation. Yeah. So my research is fully funded by
Mhm.
the university in Australia, in Darwin University, and my research mostly in Bali, Java, and India. So
Mm.
completely, they pay everything for my need doing research, and only occasionally when I'm done with my research, I fly to Australia and
Mm.
then do some kind of presentation and also like get some advice from my advisor, and then also anytime you are done with your research, you have to write a paper, kind of
Mhm.
like progress report,
Right.
and then send it to your advisor, and then they will correct your proposal or your paper, and also give you like advice. Okay, you have to do this, you have to do that, like all those things. So my suggestion for you, my advice for you, so you should know what you would like to do for your study. Yeah, if you like doing research, you can do research first, and then after you have good primary data, and then write your proposal, and then send it to some university, and then they will consider it if it is like good for
Yeah.
the university.
Thank you, Bu Ari.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, sure.
So I know. I think in it applies not only for research, but really, as Lauren said, do your homework. You if you want to communicate with some professors, you really have to know their research, whether or not the research that you're trying to pursue in their university or align with theirs.
Mhm.
If you're that interesting enough and in contributing something to their research project, maybe
Yeah.
there's a chance that
Right.
they'll take you.
Okay. I hope
Good
that
luck.
answers. Thank you so much, Bu Ari, and then Bu Dorita for the answers. And we only have 5 minutes left for the Q&A, and then we have to go for one slider, one pager that I want you to know, and then after that we can go for the student panels. Um, yeah, I'm not done with the Q&A yet, people. But yes, we can you can take a look at this. These are the available opportunities or examples of exchange programs, even for if you have the interest, right? You can take picture of this, but I'm going to go through very quickly. It's YSEALI is funded by the U.S. government, of course, and you can go to id.usembassy.gov/education dash culture slash YSEALI for full information. It stands for Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative, and we have the flyers out there aside the VR games beside the Education USA corner. So if you want them, you can take them. Okay. For Fulbright, it's going to be aminef.or.id. You can just access that really quickly. They have various programs right there on top of the Fulbright scholarship that is for master and PhD degree. They have these exchange program or short-term programs. The Humphrey Fellowship Program for mid-career professionals, the Fulbright Distinguished Awards in Teaching Program for international teachers. They call it Fulbright DAI, and also Community College Initiative CCI program. We have one of the alum in the Zoom chat box later, so you can really make use of that, right? And then Global Undergraduate UGrad Exchange Program. One of the advisees came to me to ask for that and actually double check the essay or proofread the essay. And then Fulbright Foreign Language Teaching Assistant or FLTA. This is quite popular as well if you are interested and if you are in the teaching um, industry. Lastly, the Fulbright US ASEAN Visiting Scholar Program. So more details, you can just go to aminef.or.id directly, and the contact information will be also on the website, okay, in the very bottom. And then we also have the quite famous or popular Kennedy Lugar Youth Exchange and Study. We call them YES program. It's from ifsindonesia.org atau Bina Antar Budaya, right? So these are the available opportunity that you can explore. And I will continue for the Q&A now from that side. Um, yes, we can have you. Can you please stand up and tell us about your name and your question? I'll take another one last question and probably from the Zoom, just to be fair to the online audience.
So my name is Aika, and I'm interested in liberal arts, anything in the humanities section. And I understand that, especially in the U.S., humanities and humanity studies have becoming less and lesser funded, nor are they getting any attention, and to the point where most universities would consider them to be unnecessary. And I was wondering if international students who are interested in going into philosophy, for example, uh, would their opportunities be diminished because of the country itself not having any interest within that section? And should we continue to pursue that?
I'd love
Right.
to answer that.
Yes, please,
So, on
Bulari.
behalf of the liberal arts everywhere, don't believe it. Okay, no, actually, you have to look at the schools, because if you go to a specifically a liberal arts college, you're going to get a lot more support for that. And there are many schools, especially smaller liberal arts colleges, that are excellent. And there's some larger ones too, but those with graduate divisions tend to focus on, graduate, often professional schools, and not so much the humanities. Some have both, but if you're looking at the undergraduate level, is that what you're talking about, or master's?
Undergraduate.
Undergraduate. Look at liberal arts colleges, because um, overwhelmingly international students that come to the US study, guess what? Business, computer science, engineering, right? And if they see a philosophy applicant, they would go nuts. They would really be excited, I think. Many schools, but again, you have to look specifically and talk to an advisor. There are schools that will really seek you out.
Right. Thank you so much, Bu
Thank you.
Lauren. And I hope that answers your question and encourage you to apply. So, one last question because we will enter the student panel in the last 15 minutes. Anyone else from here? Okay. Mbak yang di second row. Thank you.
Uh, I have two questions, if you may. Uh, Actually, how many average kind of the percentage we got the scholarship if we choose the major study, not our linear programs in on a bachelor, but we do have related job experience with what we choose to our study. And the second question, advice from the university and also the professor, how to write our personal statement and motivation letter uh, to get scholarship. Is it more our skill or experience job or the GPA or IELTS results? Um, because I have lots of experience, like kind of 10 years experience job, but my major study background is not related to what I choose on the master degree. Is it possible if I put the all my experience job and all my result skill uh, to consider as the professor and the university to get scholarship for the students?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Boleh. Sorry, what was your name?
Sarah.
Tara.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sarah.
Tara. Okay. Tara, thank you so much for your question. And I think that's actually more fitting for Education USA. So, yes, um, interdisciplinary are pretty much welcome in the United States, especially, but it really depends on what are the programs that you're applying to. So, for example, if you're talking about very specific field like biology or vet or physics in that matter, that will require you to have the basic. So they will probably expect you to have some exposure towards the basic of those scientific knowledge and everything. But if you're not into them and interdisciplinary is pretty much welcome and you can fulfill all of the under prerequisite classes, then yes, you would totally be encouraged to apply and have good opportunity to be accepted. And for scholarship, it really depends on where you are right now. For example, if the scholarship that you want to apply to requires you to have TOEFL IBT of 100 points out of 120, and then if you do, your tryout and you get a few points below that, that means you still need to work on that. And for timeline, we will give it back to you on how much time you want to dedicate, and also your target, your personal target. Okay. So yes, you can get scholarship and you can apply for interdisciplinary program, but you will require a lot more. You need to spend more time to planning and the strategy. So I encourage you to find Education USA for that specific. But if any of our speakers today have anything to add to that,
That's a
all good.
long question. That's probably better
Right.
with advising.
Thank you so much. So, okay, thank you so much, Bu Lauren, Ibu Ari, and Bu Dorita. Please give them a round of applause as they get back to our speaker's seat, because I want to invite our student panelists. We will have here on stage, I will call it the main room, I will have Faye and Lauren. Faye went to Arizona and she's Indonesian. And then Lauren is from Harvard. She is an American who is currently studying for exchange in an exchange program in Indonesia. And in the breakout room one, we will have Bunga, who actually had an exchange experience as KLES. We called it the Kenny Luger just now, right? And then we will also have Saisa Hana and Faith. And let me just check real quick here. So Saisa Hana is at Duke University and Faith is at Oregon University. And then in the second breakout room, we will have Aninda, who is an alum for the CCIP program, Community College Initiative program, just now that I mentioned. And we will have Jin Shok Che. He is at University of Redlands, and also Sarah from University of Richmond. Okay, So I would like to invite Faye and Lauren to the stage. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Faye and Lauren. Please take a seat. Thank you so much, Bu Ari, for inviting them, actually, right? All right. So before we start, I would like to kind of give you time to introduce yourself to our audience here, right? You can start anywhere, like with what did you study, what program did you study, why you choose that place specific, and for Faye, it's going to be why Arizona, right? And then for Lauren, why did you choose Indonesia, right? Who want to start? I'll probably start with Faye or Lauren. Okay.
I can go.
All right.
My name is Lauren Bear. I study at Harvard University. I'm a major in history and literature and in East Asian studies, and then I minor in sociology. So kind of a lot. Um, so I chose to study here in Indonesia. Well, partially it's because I've become really interested in Southeast Asia as a place to study about. And unfortunately, Harvard as a university does not have actually a lot of opportunities to study about Southeast Asia. Um, so, if there was a Southeast Asian program, I would be in that instead of East Asian studies. um, and kind of the final straw that meant that I was definitely going to come here in particular was that I've been trying to learn Bahasa Indonesia for a while now, and the day before classes started, I was supposed to last fall. I was supposed to be in a language seminar for Bahasa Indonesia for that semester and hopefully the whole year. But the day before class started, I got an email from the professor saying that he encountered visa problems and he would no longer be able to teach. So you know, wanting to learn Bahasa Indonesia is definitely a huge part
Right.
of what brought me here.
Right. So technically, that problem lead you to have no choice but to come to Indonesia directly, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's actually a blessing in disguise. Thank you so much for having such a great interest about learning of our language. That's actually an honor, as being an Indonesian. And if you guys have any questions for Lauren, this is the right time and a very rare opportunity because when will you meet another person who have such interest and can can answer your questions if you have anything that's specific. Okay. Faye, how about you?
Hi, I'm Faye. So I'm not originally from Jakarta. I'm from Medan,
Nice.
and so I was in high school in the Sampurna Academy branch in Medan, and so I did a community college program there that I think Ms. Lauren was mentioning, where you do 2 years of community college essentially, but online and in the comfort of your own homes.
Nice.
And then so I transferred as a sophomore to the University of Arizona because my credits matched. And yeah, I
Right.
got there.
So I was also in community college, but I went to the states directly. So yeah, now you have options, right? Great. So aside from the credit that you can match and then you transfer, is there any specific reason why you choose University of Arizona or the field or the program that you chose?
So I think uh, Sampurna at that time, correct me if I'm wrong, had a couple of partner universities. Arizona was just one of them. And so I think I chose Arizona because of the business program. So Eller College of Management, which is a business school within the U of A, had a really good MIS program, finance as well as business management.
Right.
So that's why I chose the U of A.
Of course. Yeah. So I'd like to always advocate that you choose the program instead of just the university. In this case, Faye actually have the advantage to choose among the partners and that she finds that they have a very good program for the one that she wants. So yes, let's open the forum or the Q&A for everyone here. Questions? Mungkin yang tadi belum sempat dijawab ya, Mas dari sini. Namanya siapa, Mas? Belum nyala, bentar ya. Kita nyalain dari sistem. Bentar ya. Oh, udah nyala. I think. Thank
Check.
you. Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Zaidan. I am from Sambona University. I am got the scholarship to learn in there. I have a question. Uh, how much spare time for you in university in US, and if you have much of spare time, did you join any clubs or uh, of have interest of some hobbies, uh,
Okay.
something like that?
Okay.
Thank you.
Got it. Thank you so much for the question. I think he was referring to the student life balance, like the social, school life balance. So would you be able to share your experience from both ends for Faye and for Lauren when you were in Harvard, that is known for probably very um, you know studies and all of the stigma there, that it's hard and everything. Do you still get time to join the clubs or organization or any outside of classroom activities that you want?
So it's kind of weird because in a way, joining clubs and student organizations is the only way I force myself to have free time, kind of,
Wow.
because I, with all of my humanities interests, um, I'm kind of tormenting myself because I'm taking like what, like 3 to 4 out of the 4 classes that
Right.
people usually take. 3 to 4 of them are classes where you're expected to write a lot of essays.
Mhm.
So if I didn't have sign up for clubs and sign up for groups, I would be spending all my free time like either procrastinating and avoiding writing essays or writing essays.
Right, right. So the point here is that if you don't join, then you don't have the time, right? So just join and then attend it. That's how you make the balance. Okay. If not, then you're going to do something else, which I completely agree with Lauren. So it's not only where you go, it's not only if you go to Harvard, you have to do that. It's actually any university that you went. And that's coming from me who also went to the States. Whenever I feel like I don't have the balance of studying versus the social life slash outside of classroom activity, I just force myself to join any, activities outside of the classroom. Then I feel like, oh, okay, I'm gaining something more outside of the classroom. Okay. So how about you, Faye?
So on the flip side, I had a lot of free time. my
Great. That's what we
my
want.
major wasn't as rigorous as yours was, I think.
Right, right.
I was in management, had a lot of free time. So I have a great interest in movies, and I joined.
Mm.
Uh, it's called a fraternity technically, so it's
Mm-hmm.
called Delta
Mm-hmm.
Kappa Alpha, and it
Ah.
was essentially a film club in school, and it was a really cool experience. They actually went on tour to the USC chapter, where George Lucas graduated from, which I thought was really cool. But I echo uh, the sentiment that opportunities like that don't open up unless you yourself apply to these clubs and apply to these events. Yeah.
Thank you. So, more questions. Otherwise, I'm going to sabotage this whole question and answer because I really like asking questions. Do we have questions from here? Yes, you have two alums or current student here, and you probably do not get the same opportunity in other events. Any question? Oh, there you go. Hello.
Hello, my name is Jeremy. I'm also a student from Sampana University, and I want to ask a question especially for Lauren. Me and my friends are very interested on this, maybe some secrets or tips and trick that got, got you into Harvard. I think I want to know your story about that. That's all. Thank you.
Right.
So I guess obviously like the first step is pretty much like meeting a certain academic standard. You need to be able to have enough, you know, like a high enough academic standing to like for them to know that you'll succeed if you go. So that's just the starting point. But I think See, the thing is, I didn't apply to Harvard expecting to get in. Most people don't. I think the first week I was at Harvard, everybody had imposter syndrome. So they were trying to brag about all the other Ivy League universities that they got into to make themselves feel better, like they actually belonged there. It was kind of ridiculous. Um, but so I guess the thing is, it's more of a throw your hat into the ring kind of thing, or shoot your shot, and less of a if you do these tips and tricks, you'll succeed. It's kind of about like I think this was mentioned earlier with the other panelists. It's about applying to a bunch of universities that some of them are reaches and maybe something that you can never guarantee because you can't guarantee getting into Harvard. You can't guarantee getting into like Columbia even. Like you can't guarantee these places, but you can apply to as many of them as you're confident that you could succeed at and that you'd want to go to, um, and submit yourself and put yourself out there.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lauren. So, yes, having a good academic standard is one, but it also comes with the strategy and the planning, which we can dig deeper if you really want to apply to Harvard. And Education USA, of course, is here for everybody, not only to Harvard, as long as it's US universities, right? And yes, we cannot guarantee, I'm going to reiterate how important it is to understand that there is no guarantee that you will be accepted to any university, not only US universities, even though they have a very high acceptance rate, let's say what, 80 percent, 70 something percent, still there's that gap of not 100% going to be accepted, right? So what you can do is to have a very good strategy, meaning that you have your timeline ready, you have your best application, and probably not only applying to one university or any one specific university. And also that, what else? What else am I going to say here? But yeah, I hope that helps your answer. But if you are applying for, I would say it's a bit different if you're applying for the undergrad or like transfer student versus like the master or the PhD degree. We have different sets of strategy for each level of study. That's one. The second one is going to be, I was just remembering that. So yeah, if you're applying for the Harvard, I would say you need to know the program that you want, of course, right? And the deadline and everything, and then you set your own timeline, right? So, Lauren, if you don't mind sharing, you probably want to give them a little bit of um, sharing session, like a quick one. How many universities did you apply to, if you mind sharing?
I think I applied to somewhere between 14 and 16.
There you go, right? And how many did you get accepted to, like letter of acceptance wise?
I think it was like, I think I got denied at like 3, accepted to maybe somewhere between 8 and 12, and then waitlisted at 4. Like this is very rough. The numbers are not going to add up because I can't remember exactly
Of course,
how much
that's
for each.
fine. Yeah. But yeah, it speaks volume of how important it is not to apply to one, even, like someone who had the same, I would say, the aligned education system, because Lauren was applying from the American high school and everything, and that's an online system, right? And she actually applied to so many, much more, even probably more than most Indonesians who are applying to the States. So I want to stress the importance of applying to as many. And yes, there's no golden rule or template on what you write in your essay, what you do, what you put in your CV or resume to get accepted to certain schools in any university at that point. Okay? Any questions following up on this, or nope? You can use Bahasa Indonesia. I can translate that if you need to. No? No more questions? Oh, finally. Going once, going twice.
I'll just sit down. So my name is Jasmine. I'm from Sapporo University too, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to ask more like cultural thing. So is there any like culture shocks that you may expect, or like yang bisa
prevent or
Yes.
get ready for?
Yes.
All right.
For when you are studying in America.
Okay. Thank you, Jasmine.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I got it right this time. So I will delegate that to Faye because you're an Indonesian who went to the States. So what kind of, if any, cultural shock experience that you got, and if you have known that before, would you, be able to prevent that, and some tips maybe on that department?
So there's definitely an adjustment. You're moving 1,000 miles away, of course. But I'm lucky in that there wasn't anything that was super. That was a huge deal breaker for me not to go. I think uh, an anecdote I tell to my friends is that my biggest cultural shock was that some people wear their shoes on the bed. And that was like, I went in the house and I was like, no. but but other than that, I think people in the U of A specifically were so welcoming to me. Even though I came from a little town and God knows where in Indonesia, but everyone was super welcoming, and I think uh, a way for you to combat, I guess, feeling like awkward and weird, is to just say yes to as many things as you can or as you're comfortable with. I think the value I got from studying in the States is that I am more open to new experiences now, because I don't think I would have had the friends that I have now if I wasn't that open, no matter, regardless of how uncomfortable with the situation I might have been.
Right. Thank you so much, Faye. So I think the key takeaway from Faye's answer is that you need to be ready to face differences whenever you study abroad. And I can say from my personal experience that I realized a lot of Americans, if not all of them, Lauren can correct me, and then Lauren here can also correct me. That they're very friendly. So if you go to convenience store and then you're trying to check out some items, right? Like you're paying your items that you want to get. And then they can just pop in the question like, "Hey, how are you?" You know? And that's a genuine question. It's not like kalau di Indonesia kita bilangnya basa-basi. You know? We don't di Indonesia bahkan nggak ada basa-basi yang kayak apa kabar gitu. Nggak ada kan? Kayak kalau strangers we don't do that in Indonesia. But in the States, strangers to strangers, they can just like, hey, how are you doing? Hey, you're looking good today. Hey, the weather is nice. They do that, and you need to expect that so that you don't feel like intimidated or like scared when they're doing that to you, right? And if it helps, if you are on the way to go to the States and you need some guidance on that, we do have pre-departure orientation. You can Google that up, Education USA pre-departure orientation, and all of the events are free, so you can definitely join, and you can actually rewatch it. I think we still have the recording from previous year, probably before the COVID, and that could still be relevant to you, right? I hope that helps. And probably to balance this out, because culture is really interesting, Lauren, could you share your culture shock when you came to Indonesia?
Um, I think I feel like it's kind of hard to say because I feel like there wasn't anything that really hit me really hard that maybe really disoriented me, but maybe maybe people were hmm, very like I guess people wanting to take care of me, I guess a little bit. Just like maybe it was the host family experience or being uh, hosted by somebody because I think I'm used to maybe at home. Even if
Doing
you are a guest somewhere, you're still kind of expected to do your own thing, and
Yeah.
like it's a roommates thing. Like you're not like you you just kind of live your own life while you're living with somebody else, and you can't necessarily expect anybody to look after you. But here, if I feel very looked after and very
Right.
cared for with all the host families that I've stayed
Right. It's like, have you eat? Do you want to eat? Right?
with. Yeah.
So yes, in the States, I feel like they're very, very independent in a sense, like they do their own thing, like, cooking and whatnot, and they take care of themselves very well. And so when Lauren is here and being in the host family, of course, it's different because they're going to take care of her and asking her probably more than 2 times a day, have you eat? And what would you like to eat probably too? right? So yeah, to balance that out, culture shock is very common, and if you are ready for differences like what I shared here, then you are probably very, very ready to go to anywhere in this world. Okay? And you can probably do a bit of your own research on the country that you are going to. Then you can be more prepared. Or maybe talk to the current student or the fellow Indonesians that are currently there. If you are talking about the States, you can try to look up Permias, itu perkumpulan mahasiswa Indonesia di Amerika Serikat, and they are like scattered all around the 50 states. You can name it. Some of the Permias branch actually is, very, very extended. So if we have a lot of Indonesians in that state or that area, they could go very deeply. Per sekolah, per universitas tuh ada komunitas Indonesianya. So you can try to reach that out. Okay. All right. More questions? Any more questions? Maybe on. Oh, we have one. Okay. Silakan.
Check. Maybe it's not related to the academic stuff, yeah. I think it's more with the non-academic. Maybe if in the University of Arizona we know Wildcat, right? Is there, of course, there is annual event for students to raise the engagement. I'm just interested with what is the annual event, non academic for sure, yeah, that unique than other university. For example, what is annual event in Harvard and University of Arizona? I take some HED class, but but I never experienced go to the US. Maybe soon. I don't know. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Gimana, Faye?
so an event that was or an experience that was unique to the U of A annual event. So we had something that was called the Bear Down Fest. So it's like a music festival, but like scaled down. So like not Coachella, I would say, but still pretty cool because we got like DJs and like singers there and local
Right.
artists too. But I think something that's unique to Arizona and not the U of A would be the views. A lot of kids love to go hiking in Arizona. Because have you seen the movie Cars, like the Disney movie? But it looks like that. It like actually looks like that, which is crazy. So yeah, I think that was unique to Arizona.
Right. So I would like to add to that. You can actually try to find some of the resources or the uniqueness of each university, not only University of Arizona, that you have interest at from the university website. So usually they brag about it, like they put it, like photos, and they have a certain tab, certain portal to just to have that because it's like one of the reasons why a lot of students are applying to that school. Okay. All right. Do we have other questions? Any questions? We have about 2 minutes left. Let me check. Okay. Yeah.
I could explain some annual events at Harvard
Oh,
if
yes,
we have the time.
please. Yes.
Okay. So Harvard is on the Charles River, and it's a big river that runs through. Well, it runs right between the city of Boston and the city of Cambridge. And every year it has, I think it's the biggest rowing event in either the country or the world, something like that. And a ton of people from all over the place get together to watch these people hop on like the narrow boats in the river and have like what is it, the boatswain shouting at everybody to row in time, and you get to watch them race their boats down the river. And there's usually like sort of a festival sort of thing around it, and that's pretty cool. There's also, let's see, this thing called Yard Fest, and that is, I don't know, it's like a big party that's arranged by students, I think, and usually they can invite some like major artists to perform there because it's Harvard. There's the reputation to do that. They can usually get some pretty cool guests, like musicians and singers.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that, Lauren. And I'm going to share a bit about the events that happened in my campus, but they're not like very formal, very big events, but they happen quite frequently because the international students wants to make sure the international students, not only from Indonesia, from anywhere at that matter, who attend the school to have a very welcoming vibe and that they belong, that they belong in that environment. So they want to make as many events that are engaging and getting them, together and everything like that. So we had bowling night, potluck, you name it. And then sometimes the coffee break or anything like that. And that's all from coming from the international student office or anything that's similar to that, like international student office, international student community, or international student club, whatever that's available in that university. They will try to make you feel at home, and that's how important is international student in the states, especially. They want to make sure that you get the best of your experience, not only academically but also socially and also in terms of anything that you're looking for. So finding the best fit or the best match in terms of the program and the environment is the goal, and you need to put in your time and effort to find that. That's unique to everybody. That's unique to each and one of you. So it's not like, oh, my friend go to, let's say, I know Lauren Brown, right? Like Lauren went to Harvard. I also want to go to Harvard. So it's not like that. So you have to find the reason from yourself on why you want to attend Harvard, for example. Okay? I hope that helps. And let's close this whole event. And I'm sure that the breakout rooms in the Zoom is pretty much finished as well. All right. So everybody is back to the main room. Welcome back. And thank you so much for joining our event today. I definitely had fun, and I'm pretty sure all of our speakers had very valuable information that they shared today. I hope it is helpful to all of you who are watching us in person and live from online. And also thank you, Lauren and Faye, for joining us today and sharing your experience. I'm going to give it back to our At America team. Thank you, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you so much, Ka Santika. Earlier in the beginning of these events, I have trivia for you. And the question is, which of the following programs from the United States government can help you gain the experience of studying abroad? Is it A, YC or B, Fulbright Foreign Student Program, C, Kennedy Lugar Youth Exchange and Study, or D, all of the above? And the correct answer is D, all of the above. So congratulations at David Wijaya09 from Instagram, who is the fastest one who can guess correctly. The last, we want you to collaborate with us by visit our website www.atamerica.or.id. Click collaborate with us and submit your greatest idea. Also, to keep update for our next events, you can follow our social media. We have on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, AT America. Thank you for all the speakers, moderator, and all the student representative for this amazing session. Give a big applause once again to all of them. Thank you so much. My name is Patricia Elizabeth. See you on the other At America events. Bye!